Hello there, and welcome back to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox, and with me is my co-host and co-pilot, Clem, to recap the penultimate edition of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Disney Plus. This was part 5. It even says when you boot up Disney Plus, it says new part available right after Miss Marvel says new episode available, which, if you're looking for that, we also are now recapping Miss Marvel in a little quick hitter form. So that's quick. It's not like a full podcast like this, but it's a fun show. It's worthy of it. This was, in my opinion, Clem, the best installment of Obi-Wan Kenobi we got of the series. It was my favorite personally. And over everything else, it made me realize I understand the fan base is split on everything in Star Wars nowadays. The one thing I don't think the fan base is split on is the treatment of Darth Vader by Disney. And I'm not even just saying in this show, I'm saying Disney overall and including Rogue One in there because Darth Vader, they fucking nailed him. I think this is the Darth Vader we've all been asking for a long time. And we got more of them in this episode. We got some flashback sequences in this episode. Clem, you weren't very happy with last week's episode or last week's part. What did you think of part 5?
So I think my analogy was last week's episode or part 4. We hit a pothole, and is it a flat tire? What's going on here? We drove a little while longer this week, and you got a couple times where you're like, I think I smell rubber, which means the tire is popped. And there was a couple times where you're like, well, I'm moving kind of smooth here. Basically, whenever Darth Vader's on the screen, I feel fine. When Darth Vader's not on the screen, I start getting worried and I start smelling the rubber. So next week, I don't know if this is confirmed. Someone tweeted at us. Shout out to the stool who tweeted at us and said it was the way he tweeted too was Robbie Fox South Park meme. So basically, come everywhere based on this. Our guy, the Mike Saga, the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale reportedly has a runtime of 93 minutes.
I hope so.
So 93 minutes. That's basically we're getting a movie, right?
Yeah.
We're getting like a long, a short Star Wars.
I haven't even heard that. I didn't see that tweet.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's been confirmed or anything of the sort. It was by Post Cred Pod, Bro Bible, Pop Culture. It seems pretty legitimate. So
sounds like it's like just a different universe of our pod.
Yeah, exactly.
A Bro Bible pod, a nerdy pod from them, and it's like a nerdy pod from Barstool Sports.
They're variants of us, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, a 93-minute finale that could go one of two ways for us here. I don't know if it's been confirmed or what we're gonna get. Nonetheless, I'm going to say there were parts of this episode I liked. There was parts of this episode I didn't like. And I'm trying my hardest. Excuse me. I am honestly trying my hardest to like not be a nitpicker, not go. Because you can nitpick. We've said this so many times. People would have nitpicked Empire to fucking death if it had come out during the internet era. It's the truth. Like, the fucking from a certain point of view. Or that was actually whatever. But like Darth Vader being his father, all this kind of stuff would have been nitpicked to death. The entire original trilogy, which is the gold standard. But there's just so many things in this that are just right there. And I'm just like, that's just so sloppy. And then Darth Vader comes in and he fucking does Darth Vader shit. And I'm like, oh, I like that. I like that. So I really don't know what to say. I think my favorite was part 3, just because we got a lot of Vader in 3. Part 4 was definitely not my favorite. So this, I guess, is better than 4, but worse than 3 for me personally.
Before we get into it, let me remind everybody that to support the podcast, you could subscribe down there if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast feed, please leave us a rating and a review. And you can like this video as well. The Basement Boys, I don't want to say we're on the chopping block, all right? But like we've been saying for weeks, you need to help us keep the basement lights on. It's like the Empire corners the rebels and the good guys in this episode, and they kind of put them in the cave, Hoth or crate style. That's kind of us right now, and we need to get in that transport, maybe that second transport, and fly on out of there. So you could help us do that by liking the video, subscribing. It genuinely does help. Send the video to your friends. If they're watching Obi-Wan, say, hey, these guys break down Obi-Wan. They got some predictions right in the first episode that wound up being right in this episode. So maybe, we're helping you bet futures here.
That's a great way to put it. Maybe we'll just start doing some Barstool Sportsbook bets too, just to kind of really stack the odds in our favor. But you said it best, and I would never do the sequel trilogy comparison unless it fit. We are like, obviously you guys know what happened to podcasts a few weeks ago, months ago, whatever it is at this rate. The numbers are going to dwindle, and they're probably going to dwindle more. we can't keep doing this unless we are able to survive. And numbers are the key thing here. Barstool starting to become more and more of a business instead of everyone just do your thing. So if you guys can either subscribe, download, and then like you said, the most important thing is spreading the word on the podcast more than just we can. Be much appreciated. So we're not going to beg you guys anymore. We've done it enough. We gave away. We'll figure out a new giveaway for our next set of subscribers. But yeah, you said it, Bob. We're in crate land. We're in crate world right now.
Let's get into part 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the intro to this episode, Clem, made me at 3 a.m. go full Rick Dalton. Oh my God, I can't believe what we're seeing, because you see a beautiful landscape and you're like, this looks a little prequel-esque. And as it zooms out, you see the ponytail on a young Anakin Skywalker. It's actually a bit of an older Anakin Skywalker. As we see in the flashback, he's playing the Anakin from pre-Attack of the Clones it is as well, because they lose those lightsabers in Attack of the Clones and Anakin still has both of his real hands. This was everything I've been asking to see out of Hayden Christensen joining the show again. I wanted a prequel flashback, and we got such a cool prequel flashback that would have fit so well in the prequels. Like seeing that bonding between Obi-Wan and Anakin, seeing Obi-Wan actually being a teacher to Anakin and showing him where he's failing. And the entire episode was kind of weaving in and out of this flashback sequence. It would usually go back to Vader after the flashback sequence, which made me think maybe he's the one thinking of this. But I loved it. It was genuinely like just nostalgic, I guess, just seeing them back in those robes, seeing Ewan McGregor back with kind of the Obi-Wan mullet. This was really cool for me.
I was too busy looking at Hayden Christensen. I didn't even look at Ewan McGregor. I have to go back and rewatch it now because I was just looking at him because we haven't really seen him in the show. But I knew that was gonna absolutely crush, and I enjoyed it too. I wanted the prequels to be good. I am still down for them to go back and put band-aids on it and make them better. And I was just really happy for you, all the prequel stands out there, prequel Fran herself, everyone, just to kind of see that. And this is where things like this is where I feel like you can really expand with in TV shows. It's like they couldn't have like that entire scene in a movie. I guess they could have, but that just teaches how the Jedi, their code and how it works, and how someone who is, kind of a little too aggressive and going towards the dark side can end up fucking himself in the end. And I liked that entire sequence. And again, Vader, Anakin, whatever you say, when he's on screen, that's when good things are happening. I'm realizing after this season's over, I'm going to ask you to say, what did you like more, the Book of Boba Fett or Obi-Wan Kenobi? Which the fact that it's even a toss-up in my mind is kind of concerning, considering I thought this was going to be the flagship Star Wars product for the 2022. I feel like Anakin / Vader, when he's on screen, it's like when Mando was on screen during Book of Boba Fett. It's like, wow. I feel like things just get better.
It's a decent comparison, right? Yeah.
So, and granted, like they just had Mandalorian episodes in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. And you couldn't do that with this show. You couldn't just slide in with like, hey, we're going to Mando this week. Imagine they did that. Just 2 of the episodes were Mando.
All right, listen, Filoni, Favreau, whoever is like in charge of like the final say in the Obi-Wan Kenobi finale. If you guys are watching that and you're basically George Lucas at the end of Phantom Menace, is like, oh, maybe we went a little crazy there. Just throw in a fucking man. I know you have at least one Mando episode in the can. Just throw it on and then put like Vader versus Kenobi at some point during it. And I'll fucking, and that's the thing. It'll be the last thing I remember of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'll be like 10 out of 10. Perfect series.
You just see them like in the background of a Mando scene. You're like, I think those are 2 lightsabers back there.
And then as soon as your brain is like, wait, why are they? They just throw Baby Yoda in your face. And you're like,
oh, look at that little guy.
We've made this comparison a million times on the podcast. And I still don't know the name of the actual product, but it's the fucking jug of water spilling out with the hole, and it just slapped.
I think
Mando
it's Flex
right
Seal, right?
Flex Seal,
Flex Seal,
yes.
Yeah.
Flex Seal meme, and fucking, it's now just become Mando on top of every Star Wars product. Just throw him in there, and he'll make everything fine. Everyone's gonna be happy. Maybe a little Baby Yoda. You threw the little Mandalorian sound, and we're fucking geeking out.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I'm loving Obi-Wan Kenobi because I love all Star Wars stuff. You guys know how I am at this point. It's not the home run that Mando was, and I think it just goes to show how good of a show Mando actually is and was for the first 2 seasons, especially where it's like it's hard to achieve that. Not even home run, grand slam, like I said about Captain Marvel.
Yeah. And they had to nail that too, because I honestly don't know if I'm watching Obi-Wan Kenobi in 2022 if Mando didn't hit the way it was, because I think we were, at least I was so down on the Star Wars properties at that point. The Rise of Skywalker, I mean, it only made it worse.
Hey, come on, but Babu Frick. He's coming back. He's going to be in Mando season 3.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh man, Jesus Christ!
I can't wait for that.
So it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out in the end here. But we'll go through the episode.
The third sister comes and tells Vader where Obi-Wan has been tracked to. I believe it was Jabim or something like that. Jablim. And she gets promoted to Grand Inquisitor in this moment. I liked when Vader was like, I'm not interested in fucking pleasantries, kneeling and all that. He's like, just kneel. I'll give you the pin, almost like the hand to the king thing in Game of Thrones, right?
Same thing. Yep, same thing. And
she finally gets the position that she's been gunning for, that old Grand Inquisitor that she killed for it. She gets that, and then we regroup with the heroes on Jabim. Kumail has joined the fight because he's like, listen, at this point, I got into a fight with that chick too, so I guess I'm on your side. And Lola is frying all the wires. Unfortunately, Lola, big time sus lists. Easy to hack those things, I guess.
Did I threw her on the sus list, right?
Yeah, so you did.
That panned out pretty well. She has like a red light on her. It's like, hey, dickheads, you see a red light, that means she's bad. That's just how Star Wars works. There's two things in Star Wars that'll always fucking play. If there's a red light on a droid that usually did not have a red light, it's bad. And two, if you shoot the door controls and you want the door open, it'll open. If you want it to close, it'll close. It's just two things that are just certainties with electronics in the Star Wars universe. Because I was like, I know that they had put the bolt or the tracking device on her, but I didn't know she like reprogrammed Lola to be a dick too. Like I didn't know that could just be done. That was very weird. That was
someone from the Empire like at a computer station remote controlling Lola as we watch that.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to understand, because the third sister has her for like a second, and I'm like, I guess that's where she puts the bolt on. And then I'm like, maybe there was another point, but I don't know where you reprogrammed her to be a dick. I don't think you could like use your force powers to be like, now be a real asshole to Leia and undercut every time she tries to fix stuff. Yeah. In a planet she doesn't even know about. Right. Not gonna go there. Not gonna.
Well, she does know about the planet. People were pointing that out. They were like, she does overhear the plans and everything. So she does in her mind. Maybe with the force powers, Reva like senses that. Oh, that's somewhere in there, somewhere in your fucking little 10-year-old brat brain, Leia.
Yeah, fair enough. Again, not gonna nitpick, just gonna like the big stuff that I thought was a little ridiculous there.
We get some more flashbacks showing Anakin's need to win. That's a big thing. Obi-Wan's trying to tell him, listen, Jedi don't always need to show like, hey, I win. Sometimes you just fight and it goes how it goes and whatnot. Leia goes into the vents to try to figure out what's going on because the doors are closing and whatnot. And the stormtroopers and the third sister, Reva, arrive on the planet. They completely corner everyone into this cave. At the same time, Obi-Wan reads or watches a worried message from Bail Organa. And I knew this was going to go south the second I watched it. And Bail is just saying all of the information he can in the galaxy. He's like, and by the way, I really hope they don't find about that boy on Tatooine whose social security number is 0748. Like, what the fuck, Bail? Obi-Wan's like, listen, just chill out. Be quiet. I'll go get your daughter. You just need to stop giving things away and get people off my tail. Bail Organa. This was a big, big slip up.
Bob, put it in post-production. Hit him with the Portnoy thing. Ha ha ha. What an idiot. What a fucking idiot. Bail Organa. How the fuck did you become a senator if you're that fucking stupid? Stupid. That's another thing. I'm trying not to nitpick. That was, you said as soon as it happened, you thought that was ridiculous.
Soon as it happened.
This little thing that could just like fall out of your pocket without you even knowing, this little transmitter or whatever, and he's fucking giving away. It's like, all right, as long as they don't know where Luke is. Oh, well, Luke is at Tatooine at the Lars residence at 343 fucking Sandy Dick Lane. What are you doing? I'm so mad. And
somebody please make the street sign in Tatooine.
I don't even know where that came from, to be honest with you. I think it's Darth Vader, the underpants we were talking about with him having sandproof pants. And again, if you want me to be like, it's like Clem, you're nitpicking the new stuff and ignoring the old stuff. No, the old stuff was ridiculous too. His name is Luke Skywalker. They keep Anakin's name on his ass in case like someone ever just happens to be like, is there any Skywalkers in the universe? Oh, there's one on Tatooine to an uncle who just happens to like adopt him, and he's not Luke Lars, he's Luke Skywalker. None of this shit ever made sense. It's just when there's a lot of good shit going on the screen, you don't think about that because your brain is like, cool, awesome fights, funny dialogue with the characters. That's the difference between the original trilogy and basically everything since, in my humble opinion. We're just going to leave it at that. No more nitpicking. Sandy Dick Lane. Let's go, Bob.
Let's tell the people about something that's pretty awesome, though, and that is team handball. Now, we've talked about this in the past. You watched handball in the Summer Olympics. It's unbelievable. You're like, why is this stuff not on 24/7? Why isn't this just a regular sport that's on all the time? Well, it actually is a regular sport, team handball, and they're growing the business. They're growing the game with the American Handball Company. It's hard-hitting, high-scoring sport, combines the best parts of basketball, hockey, and soccer together, and now it's finally coming to the U.S. and North America in general. There's teams all over. It's Toronto, Miami, Detroit, New York. We, of course, root for the New York team over here. And if you want to play it, if you want to watch it, if you want to learn more about it, the American Handball Company is the company for you. So follow them on Twitter and Instagram at official_TAHC. That's TAHC for the American Handball Company. Follow them on Instagram and Twitter. They got cool clips. They got stuff where you could actually learn about the game, learn about players. Clem, you've watched handball in the Summer Olympics. It's electric.
Absolutely love it. Every single, it's the sport that everyone is always talking about. Like you have obviously your track, you know, the 100-meter dash or whatever. You have like the basketball games. But handball is always the one. It's like, why the fuck isn't this a bigger thing? And if you ever played handball as a kid in like gym, it was always a fucking blast. So again, check out the clips, go on YouTube. I'm sure there's a ton of YouTubes out there. And I am at the point now where I'm just like looking at my kids. I'm thinking college education. Handball is going to be the next big thing. It's like it's the Luke Skywalker. No one's really heard of it at this point, even though his name is the same name as the most famous Jedi in the world, the great warrior Anakin Skywalker. Fucking get in while you can low on handball. I think if you're a lefty handball player, it's like gold, basically. It's like finding a left-handed like pitcher that throws 102 miles per hour. That's what I'm going to make AJ. I'm going to make him a professional handball player. Sienna doesn't really have that kind of athletic bone in her body, but AJ has the energy, and I think he's like ambidextrous, but we're going to just tie one hand behind his back, and he's going to be learning how to be a left-handed handball player. And again, if you haven't watched it, the two Basement Boys here, Basement Boy approved, just go watch the highlights of it, and you'll be like, this is fucking awesome. It's such an easy watch, which is exactly what we do during the Olympics. It's on during the workday, and everyone would just throw it on their computer and just have it on. Basement Boy approved.
Speaking of AJ, I saw you tweeted this week. You were introducing him to Street Fighter?
Oh, yeah.
How did that go?
There was a few AJ tweets this week, and I didn't know which one you were talking about because I started dabbling with the dark side. Absolutely love Street Fighter. I have it here in the basement. We have the Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, and they love it. He's Blanca. That's his go-to. Sienna's obviously Chun-Li. The only thing is he just gets so mad because it's the arcade game. He just gets his ass kicked by the arcade every single time. So I try to get the guy down to like 1% health, but it's all about teaching the kids the classics. He plays a lot of Mario Brothers on the Switch, like the new ones. They have on the Switch. They also have, if you have the online package, you can play Nintendo, Super Nintendo. So he's getting into Super Mario for Super Nintendo, and he fucking loves it. So it's great just introducing them to the absolute classics. I recommend it to any parent out there. Get a Switch for your kids. All the new stuff is great, but they can kind of play some old stuff. Teach them the classics.
Yeah, I have a Switch, and the old stuff is like so much fun. It's just like on the homepage, it's the emulator, I guess it's called. Yep. I like the old stuff. Yeah.
And the cool thing, too, that they do is there's like the specials where sometimes like Mario 3, they'll put you on the last level with like all the good shit. Or you'll have 99 lives with every single board beat in Super Mario for Super Nintendo. And it's just like in case you never beat stuff or wanted to try stuff and you weren't good enough to do it as a kid, they're like, just go have a ball now. Live your fucking relive your childhood and win.
So back to Obi-Wan Part 5 again. Obi-Wan goes to stall for time with Reva. He's like, all right, let me go negotiate, stall for time. And this is very much a Clone Wars Obi-Wan tactic. We saw him do this 1,000 times in the Clone Wars, where this was more his style, and Anakin was more, let me just go out there and fight them and blow shit up, and Poe Dameron almost, Daredevil style. And he realizes who Reva is pretty quickly. It seems like he had been thinking about it, where he's like, hey, how did you know Vader and Anakin were the same person. I don't think that's something that Vader would let up unless you were there the night of Order 66. Clem, this was one of my best predictions ever because it was something that I thought 2 seconds into the series. I said it in episode 1 in our episode 1 recap. I thought she was one of those younglings, and it wound up being true. We see a full Order 66 sequence that's pretty rough, I guess. You see kids dying again, getting stabbed by Anakin, him coming back into the temple.
There are certain scenes in this fictional setting that some people may find upsetting. I saw that in the front. I said, I guess we're getting Order 66 right now.
Upsetting. That's a good way to put it. And Reva talks about how she laid with the dead bodies and whatnot. And it looked like, based on later in the episode, she did get stabbed as a kid, but used that revenge to survive.
Yeah. And we have talked about this, I think, since we started talking about Star Wars, is how I always wanted to see a little more of Order 66. I still want to see more of Order 66. I don't need to just see the younglings getting slaughtered. The younglings becoming like a meme, it was just a meme thing, right? And it's like, I guess they could have showed us more. That's fine, because it shows just how fucking sick and twisted Anakin was. I would have liked to see more Order 66 stuff. Hopefully they have a few things in their pocket coming in the future or whatever. But she's like, Obi-Wan, where were you when we were getting hunted? He's like, bitch, I was getting hunted too. They know who I was. They were like, Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's like top 3 on the fucking the hunt list, right?
His best friend Cody was after him.
Yeah, it's like, so again, it's like trying to explain that to a kid that had like all her friends murdered and was murdered, basically attempted murdered herself. I can understand why she's upset, but like, why didn't Obi-Wan be like, bitch, it's like that guy that was fucking killing everyone there, that was my dude. I had no clue this was coming, and he would have killed my ass if I was there. I was just trying to, the fact that I survived it is like a miracle in itself. So that was just my take on it. But
she's out for herself too. That was something that you brought up at some point. Like, she's after Anakin. She wants to kill Darth Vader, assassinate him, and she's also not cool with Obi-Wan either. She's like, fuck you too. Like, do you really want Anakin dead? So she's completely off on her own. I wouldn't call her a gray Jedi. She's like a gray Sith.
And we almost need like the chaotic good, chaotic evil, because there are levels to this. First of all, shout out Bob Fox, called that fucking episode 1, like the first minute of the recap. You're like, I think she's gonna be one of the younglings. Absolutely fucking nailed it. And this, I think, is something that for me, casual Star Wars fan or fast casual Star Wars fan, I did not see much of in basically just watching the movies and the Mando shows. But I think you probably see people like this more in the cartoons, where it's like they're a little more gray. They don't really fight for a quote unquote side. They fight for themselves, and whatever happened in their life shaped the way that they think and act. And is that a fair way to put it, the way she is there? So
yes.
But again, it was just so weird. I was like, when Vader went back and he was like, kneel, and then she just has this little pin on her. I just thought that was fucking weird.
I also think the youngling thing could be a twist on Reva's like story arc eventually. I see her story arc ending with, later in the episode, she finds out about Luke, like we said. I see her going after Luke and realizing that she is who she feared as a child. That like maybe Luke and Leia were looking at her with the same fear in their eyes that she was looking at Anakin. And she's like, what the fuck am I doing? That's my prediction for the finale.
Bob Fox is feeling himself right now. You're doubling down. You won your money from your fucking, you're like 10-1 shot. And now you're going to look to make some more money by putting
it back
down
on the table.
I fucking love it, Bob Fox. Barstool Sportsbook. Download the app right now. We're just trying to keep the basement fucking lights on, guys. Come on. Listen, anytime you make a bet on the Barstool Sportsbook app, tag Dave, tag Erica, but then also be like, I made this bet because I listened to my mom's basement. We're just trying to make things work here. And then at BS Sportsbook, whatever you can, keep the basement lights on. We're like, I'm not like, this whole fucking company was built on just like making moves and, stick it till you make it. Let's fucking do it, Bob. Let's fucking
We're the rebels. We might not have the biggest high tech. We might not have the biggest army, but you know what? We got the heart.
Exactly. And you go to the 3rd floor though, where the suits are, and they're the ones everything's nice and clean. They're in their fucking like suits, basically, right?
We gotta show up in suits one day, like we're like Obi-Wan or not Obi-Wan, like we're Luke and Han on the Death Star, like in the Stormtrooper outfits.
Yeah, Hank has almost become like he's the one who's evolved up to it, right?
So, is Hank Tarkin?
Oh boy. I feel like Hank is almost like Vader at this point, where he was like once one of us and now he's up there. right? Yet Portnoy is still down on the second floor. I don't know. We're making a lot. I don't want to make any enemies here either. I don't know who's listening, who's not listening. I don't want to be throwing Tarkin around.
Everyone listens. Come on.
Like you said, everyone. Yeah. I thought you were going to say everyone was an enemy. I'm like, man, it's getting dark here right now.
So the stormtroopers...
From my point of view, everyone on the third floor is an enemy.
The stormtroopers break in. They overwhelm the forces of the good guys. And unfortunately, Tala takes one for the team. We saw Tala's death coming a mile away as well. And not only her robot dies too. The silent robot who saved Obi-Wan. This was almost like a K2SO death where it's like, oh, but the fucking droid. I get that people are dying, but the droid. And Tala has the thermal detonator in her hand, a classic trick where it's like, just go. I'm going to blow them up. And she does blow a bunch of them up. So shout out Tala. R.I.P. my dog Tala.
R.I.P. our dog Tala for sure. The loader droid. That fucked me up, man. There's something about the way droids go out in Star Wars. It really does like gut me. Again, this is coming from someone who's R2-D2 is my favorite character. The Millennium Falcon's like in my top 3, if not maybe 5. Yet whenever these fucking droids go out, I was crushed, man. Ned B. R.I.P. Ned B. Now listen, Tala, Ned B. We fucking love you guys. But this does not hold the candle, this death, to our guy Wade, who, by the way, not one person.
Nobody mentioned.
Not one person in Jabim was like, hey, where did Wade go? Not one fucking person.
Would have been great if they got back and there was a huge banner that just said, welcome back, Wade. And they were like, they gave him the head shake. They're like, no, take it down.
Oh, Wade, I am never gonna forget this fucking Wade thing.
I got to show on the podcast the picture that I texted you over the weekend where I said, hey, did you see the latest addition to the special trilogy? And you said, I have no idea if you're kidding or not. And someone photoshopped Wade into Return of the Jedi there. I saw that on the Star Wars Reddit. I was like, that's too good not to send to Clem.
4 greatest warriors ever to exist in a galaxy far, far away. Master Yoda, Master Kenobi, Master Skywalker, and Wade. Fucking Wade. Not Dwayne Wade. Wade. Fucking jerk. And I don't want to offend the Wade. So I'm any Wade listeners, I'm just gonna,
I watched a movie with a Wade last night. I watched Deadpool. My girlfriend had never seen it. I was like, oh, you've never seen the first Deadpool? Funny movie. And we watched that. Shout out Wade Wilson.
Shout out Wade Wilson. Shout out the girl. I can never remember her name, who plays his wife or girlfriend or whatever her name.
Oh, like Morena Borican or something.
Yep. I have like a deep seated crush on her. So does Large.
I mentioned that to my girlfriend. I said, this is one of Clem's biggest crushes. Swear to God, during the movie.
And the holiday scene is one of the all-time greatest scenes in the history of Marvel cinema. MCU,
funny.
not MCU.
That movie holds up really well. My favorite comedic moment in it though is when he cuts the hand off and then he's just touching his neighbor's face with his tiny baby hand.
Yes, incredible.
So funny. Obi-Wan goes and quote unquote surrenders to try to get the troops out. He's like, I have a plan. Gives up the lightsaber. They're like, how do you fight without a lightsaber? He's like, there's a way to fight without a lightsaber. And then they show us in the flashback sequence, he lost his lightsaber, got Anakin's with the Force and everything. And he goes and surrenders, brought in front of Reva. Stormtroopers go and take him inside because Vader wants to come down himself. And he breaks free of them pretty quickly. Vader comes down to Jabim. He's got that power walk strut where he
was moving.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill Obi-Wan. Here he goes, this fucking little bitch. He gets away from me on Tatooine or on that sandy planet. I'm getting him now. And he pulls the wrong transport down. Transport goes to take off. He grabs it. He pulls it down, and then he rips it apart, like just with raw power. No one's inside of it because the transport behind of it takes away. Just a classic. Anakin was so determined to get that win over Obi-Wan, to get that declarative win. He didn't even think, oh, there's a fucking transport right behind it. What an idiot.
What a fucking idiot. That was a great misdirect. It also reminded me of when we think Chewbacca dies.
That's what it reminded me of as well.
Then I got mad about the sequel trilogy again. So I was all over the goddamn place during this. But I don't know if you see this in any other parts of the Star Wars lore. I didn't know Vader could do that. Just flat out didn't know. And I'm like, oh, that's the bad motherfucker. We have the bad motherfucker.
You see it in video games, but never really in live action, I don't think.
Yeah, because even Rogue One, which again is I think the gold standard for the badass Vader in this era, where he's still young and he just has this fury running through him. He's doing shit that you've seen before. He's just cutting people down with his lightsaber and he's using the Force to kill people. But to fucking just take a starship as it's leaving and then just rip it apart like a fucking can, unbelievable. Just blind rage. I was geeking out by it big time. And then obviously the Chewbacca thing came up. I will say, the Obi-Wan stuff with Reva, there was a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like. When they were like talking through the door as they're like, listen, Star Wars, for future projects, don't just have stormtroopers shoot blindly at a door. It's just not entertaining TV. Think of a different way. Even if it's like you're doing the Game of Thrones where you're like trying to hammer it in with like a battering ram, that seems more fun than just, all right, fire at the door. Choo, choo, choo. Oh my God, they're firing at the door. Not fun. Him talking with her about like if she was a youngling, as there's like 1,000 stormtroopers right there within earshot, kind of weird as well. Nonetheless, the line where he says, I'm bringing him to you, that I loved. That was cool.
Good.
We could end this together. That's kind of was like Vader saying to Luke, like, we could get rid of the Emperor. We could do this together. I love that kind of stuff. And then, again, Vader just coming out and just fucking going full Vader on everyone. Awesome. It almost got to the point where I forgot that that the entire plan of these people escaping and being safe from, the stormtroopers was relying on a 10-year-old, as far as I know, has no electronics expertise at all. Just went in.
She seems smart, but yeah, that's about it.
And again, this is coming from someone so Groot did this in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But he was told by someone who is a fucking electronics whiz in Rocket, just hit the red button. I did everything else. Just hit this button, not that button. And then we get the jokes about him hitting the wrong button.
Well, I guess Leia was just told cut the red wire.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that, but then it's like it was when we had the stuff where it's like Lola's in there and she's trying to figure it out. That just like blew my mind. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And Sienna, so I watched this with Sienna. I watched this episode and she goes, when Leia took the bolt off, she goes, why did they put the bolt so easy to take off? And I'm like, that's a good question, Sienna. We're not going to worry about it because I don't think it's one of those things you think anyone's going to discover. It's like if you put a tracking device on a car, you're not going to have it stick there forever. But it was just something from it through a kid's eyes watching Star Wars. That was her question. So I appreciated that.
That's fair enough. I got a new advertiser to tell everyone about, and this is very, very interesting and relevant to the basement boys and girls out there.
This actually gives me hope that the basement's going to stick around.
I know. This is like perfect
for us.
Yeah. It's called Whatnot. It's a new live stream auction app where you can buy collectibles like sports cards, Pokemon cards, comics, things like sneakers, really almost anything on this app. It's an auction app. So you could put things up, you could buy things, whatever you want to do. Sellers will host live streams and people bid back and forth in real time. So there's live streams 24/7. If you wake up at 4 a.m, you go on Twitter, you're like, oh, there's no one on Twitter right now. It's a boring timeline. Go over to Whatnot. You could pretty much purchase Funko Pops, comics, whatever's on my shelf back there. I'm trying to look back there. And now Barstool is Whatnot's newest seller. We're going to be going live twice a week on Whatnot, running live shows and selling never-before-seen auction items and Whatnot exclusives. So maybe even me and Clem, we have toys in the office that we could get rid of and whatnot. Maybe we'll run an auction on nerdy collectibles and fun stuff like that.
When I went to the page, so you're like, oh, we got the new sponsor. I go to the page, and this is what I see on the page: Funko, comics, sneakers, sports stuff, and Pokemon. That was the first thing I saw. I was like, oh, so this is made for us. And then I think this is just a coincidence, but you said Barstool selling, and the first thing I see was this. I don't know for the people on the YouTube watching.
Can I put this up at the stream? Oh,
I thought that guy with the pink background, I thought that was YP. I thought YP was selling shit on Whatnot, and I'm like, oh shit, there's YP. So Whatnot is going to be a big part of Barstool. I need Portnoy to be doing the auctioneer stuff. And then, of course, the king of it, our boy from the King of the South, Mincy. If Mincy can get on and do that one day, that would be incredible.
I feel like our guy Devlin would be good at that too.
Definitely.
He has that announcer like style. Yeah. So go download the Whatnot app and follow Barstool Sports at Barstool Sports so you'll get notifications when we go live and everything. Use the link in the description of this YouTube video or podcast, whatever you're listening on, to get $10 off your first purchase on Whatnot. So download the app, follow Barstool Sports, and use the link in the description for $10 off your first purchase. Now, Clem, let's get into the finale of this episode where Reva shows up. Vader's looking at those ships just fucking angry. And in the final flashback sequence, Obi-Wan hits him with a dagger where he's like, and that's why a Padawan you will still be. And it's like, oh, he used the P word on him. Shit. Basically calling him a pussy right to his face. And Reva ignites that lightsaber, and she thinks she's going to get one over on Darth Vader in this moment. Foolish. She swings it at him, and he just halts it. He's like, Obi-Wan was smart to use you against me. And he realizes what was going on. She realizes what was going on. That probably gives her more hatred towards Obi-Wan, where she's like, that motherfucker used me. And they get into a fight, a quote-unquote fight, because Vader's toying with her the entire time. For the first half of it, he's just like ducking, dodging, weaving. It kind of looked like Anderson Silva fighting Forrest Griffin, if you remember that fight from back in the day, any UFC fans, where it's just like, this guy's not even throwing strikes. He's just like, oh, really? That's all you got? He takes her lightsaber away from her, which becomes the double-sided, like Inquisitor, spinny lightsaber. And he just splits it in half, and he throws her a half. He's like, all right, you want to try me? Here is a lightsaber for you. And she doesn't even come close to hitting him once. It's just like boop, 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 boop. And then stabs her or comes close to stabbing her, gets her down. The Grand Inquisitor comes back and has this face that says, as people online have said, I lived, bitch. And he hits her with a horrible line, goodbye, Grand Inquisitor. Stabs her. She gets a flashback to when she got stabbed, and the Grand Inquisitor said, oh, revenge does wonders for the will to live now, doesn't it? I cannot believe they didn't just kill her when they acknowledged that. This is the one thing where I'm like, okay, revenge does wonders for the will to live. Are any of the stormtroopers going to be like, well, what about her revenge? Because she might be able to live. And also, is Obi-Wan looking at all these people just surviving lightsaber wounds to the chest thinking, was Qui-Gon a bitch? Why did that kill him?
Qui-Gon was a fucking little bitch. I guess he didn't have any revenge in his heart, so he just
That's going to be the next episode. He keeps trying to contact him. He's like, Master, is this why you're not talking to me? Were you embarrassed at the fact that you died from such a bitch wound?
And doesn't this Obi-Wan at this point knows Darth Maul survived on revenge, right? He was chopped in motherfucking half.
Yeah.
And he survived on revenge. Yet these people, do they want her to survive? That was my next question. Are they like, she's going to be mad, but she'll be more mad at Obi-Wan. She'll go after him, even though Darth Vader stopped an entire ship and ripped it apart to get him, yet he wouldn't make fire disappear? Like, does the Force not work on fire? Is it like with hoverboards where they don't work over water in Back to the Future too? I don't understand how it works, but that was the questions I had going on. And that was the other thing. And again, listen, not nitpicking, just I saw someone say this and I'm just going to repeat it. Was the Grand Inquisitor just listening and waiting for Darth Vader to be like, all right, Grand Inquisitor, come in now, because we had a whole...
we said Vader's got a flair for the dramatic.
He does.
He wants a big entrance at all times for everyone.
I just thought all that was a little off. But it's kind of like when, again, going back to my little guy, AJ, he's like, Daddy, can we play basketball? And we play on his little Tykes hoop. And he just goes for the dunk, and I just swat the crap out of him every single time. That's basically what Darth Vader was doing, sparring with, and when he calls her youngling. Oh, that was mean. Through the first, he gets the P word thrown at him. So then he throws the Y word at her. It was absolutely awesome. It's kind of like,
did you really think I would not see youngling? That was fucking
good. That was dope. And again, there's those little moments where I'm like, all right, like there's still good in this universe, in this series, but I just don't know if we're going to get it during the finale.
And I'm glad they nailed Vader, because he's arguably the most important character in all of Star Wars to nail, to make sure you don't fuck up that person. And it's like, they fucking nailed him in this. And then to end the episode, Reva does find that little chip that has the Bail Organa message about Luke and his address and his social security number and all that. And we cut to Tatooine, and it was a cool shot. It kind of looked grainy and stuff, and they focus in on the Lars homestead, focus in on Luke sleeping. And my final note was LMAO. Luke just no idea. Just like he's laying in bed, just dreaming about starships and life is good. And I'm going to drink some blue milk with cereal tomorrow morning. And he's just like, a war is going on for you right now, buddy.
Think about Luke. Like, he obviously lives in a desert. There's not a lot of stuff. I'm sure he doesn't have a lot of friends. There's not a lot of stuff going on. He's getting toys just popping up. Like, that's pretty fucking awesome. That the new toy out of nowhere feeling must be getting Luke through like months basically of excitement, and he just has no idea that that Bail Organa just fucked him over big time. And I had to make this note earlier in the episode when Obi-Wan is watching the hologram. He fucking pulled off Sir Alec Guinness's look when he's looking at the hologram in A New Hope. And I never noticed it. And I'm telling you, go back and watch. He's like doing like the beard thing, you know, he's kind of, and I was like, that was a bravo moment. That was something that I give them a fucking Star Wars point for.
I do think Ewan's been great in the whole series. Like, his dialogue has been good. I think his accent, his Alec Guinness voice is back. Like, I think Ewan McGregor has been very, very good as Obi-Wan. Always has been.
Maybe Obi-Wan could have been a better show, or I'm not gonna say better show, but a different show that more people would have liked if he wasn't like washed Obi-Wan and terrified of Vader Obi-Wan. Maybe if this was season 2 or 3, it would have been a little better to gradually see him get to this point.
And we're allegedly getting a season 2. It'll be interesting to see where they go. You can't just do like he didn't fight with Vader for 10 years leading up to A New Hope. So is that where you bring back Maul and you do the rebel stuff with Maul? Is that where you do more flashback sequences? I would almost like if every episode was focused around a flashback sequence like this one. And maybe I'm shooting myself in the foot by saying that because we were talking about all the flashbacks in Book of Boba, but it was really well done here.
That's how you do a flashback instead of just we kept going back to the Sand People and it never really did anything. It just made Boba kind of a bitch who didn't wear his. Did you see Tamora Morrison the other day? It's like, we need to get back to Boba Fett being awesome. It's like, yeah, asshole. That's what we were saying every single week until Mando saved your own show from you. And I'm not going to go down there. I feel like I'm turning to the dark side as these words leave my mouth. But I just feel like there's so much there that can be done. What do you want to see in the finale, in the hopefully 93-minute finale, which I unconfirmed. Hopefully it is the case. If we're going to have 93 minutes though, you got to fucking hit the 93 minutes. Cause I'm telling you, if this episode was 93 minutes, I would have like been looking to put a blaster in my face.
I think the lightsaber fight above all else has to live up to the hype. You have to deliver us a badass fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I would like to see Qui-Gon as well as a Force Ghost. Hearing him would be very cool. Seeing him was what I want to see. You know, we heard all the Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. We heard Qui-Gon in that one. Yep. Let's see him back in that role. And I would like to see Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan put the sabers back in that box for Luke for later.
Okay. Yep. That could be cool. And again,
also, maybe he even uses Anakin's lightsaber. I was thinking that, like, does Anakin see he still has his lightsaber and that's something that makes him so fucking angry?
Or he's like, Padme loved when I used to rub her back with this. I would love a Padme fucking dig, even if it's not true, but a little zinger.
Instead of like a it's just a vibrator.
That was Padme. Sorry about that, Annie. Didn't mean to show you that one. You were right. You had the Force, dude. You fucking caught red-handed.
No.
I could live with more flashbacks. Again, we're going back to we're going back to prequel times.
I'd actually like that, yeah.
And I saw somebody edited the fight scene with some old prequel music. And I think one of them was like the love song, which seemed kind of weird as two guys are fighting. But I could like give those prequel vibes, but just do it better. 100% fine. Again, don't talk about taxation. I'm good with the prequels when we're not talking about taxation and weird shit. I think you said it perfectly though. Flashbacks that tell the story, if they could do that again, or just flashbacks that kind of just, you know, harbor on the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, either how Anakin started to hate him, how he was starting to get out of control, or just how close they really were back in the day. And then, like you said, the fight scene is so goddamn important. They have to nail that more than anything in the world. Because I'm telling you, if you think like the flat tire, if they fuck up that scene, the car lights on fire and it blows up in our face. Basically, it's like when in Grand Theft Auto, when you first see the smoke, you're like, uh-oh, better get out of this one. Or when it's flipped upside down and it just the cars just explode in Grand Theft Auto when they turn.
Yeah.
Is this a dumb question? Does that happen in real life? If you flip your car upside down, it doesn't just light on fire and blow up, right?
No, not always. I think maybe it happens sometimes.
I feel like in Grand Theft Auto, they just can't have like 1,000 upside down cars, so they had to wipe them off the map. That's something I'd love to know if I could ever talk to the creators of Grand Theft Auto. But I just want to make sure that's not the case. I'm not a car guy. I don't know that.
I don't think so. I saw some criticism of the flashback sequence for Hayden Christensen looking too old. And like, I get that. You could see, like,
Yeah.
okay, he's aged since then. I didn't think it was that bad though. I was like, all right, I could let my imagination run wild there.
I did think the same thing. I thought he looked a little old, and I'm like, I guess we could have done some sort of. I mean, they brought Carrie Fisher back to life, right? They could definitely airbrush some stuff, but I wasn't gonna, I wasn't gonna let it affect me just because it was. And also, when I saw that message at the beginning, there are certain scenes in this fictional setting that some people might find upsetting. I honestly thought we were gonna 10-year-old Leia was gonna like show how she learned how to become Carrie Poppins. I thought we were gonna have. I'm like, that would be upsetting. That would really piss me off. That would make me very angry.
Yeah, no, that would have upset you way too much. All right, that was the end of our penultimate Obi-Wan recap. I hope that you like this video. If you already haven't, make sure you subscribe. And if you're on the podcast feed, give us a rating and review. Keep the basement lights on. Do we have a hashtag for the people that made it to the end of the episode?
Trying to think of a word like Bail Organa, but like Fail Organa. There we go.
Hashtag Organa.
Fail Organa, because he's the dumbest motherfucker in a galaxy far, far away. And I still don't understand how you could just be so stupid. This very easy thing that, if it goes in the wrong hands, could absolutely destroy the universe. Oh, another, and I also wanted to make this point. Potential savior of the whole canon nonsense with Leia being a 10-year-old. Perhaps she's like, oh, my idiot fucking father almost gave away all the secrets. That's why she's like, you served with my father during the Clone Wars. Not that I was the kid that was running around with you as Vader was coming after us. So that's going to be my little prediction for the finale right there. So
that's pretty good.
I want to hear, and YouTube comments, they help as well. Give us your predictions or what you're hoping to see in the final right there. Tweet at us, hashtag Fail Organa. And I guess just pray that this is a good episode, whether it's 3 minutes or 93 minutes.
That's right. All right, we'll see you next week to talk about the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi.